Hi, and welcome, Tea Party guests, to another titillating episode of the Poison Tea Party.
You said tit. What did he say?
Oh my God. I'm your host tonight. My name is Janet. I'm surrounded by the two most amazing women who need no introduction at this point, but I'm gonna do it anyway. To my left, a woman who in her younger days once single-handedly drank all the tequila in Las Vegas.
I probably did.
Yeah. My sissy, Tress.
Ow! I definitely drank all the tequila.
She did, and the poison's going down real fine tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And to my right, a lady who is so peace and love, she'll have the whole tea party holding hands without even feeling weird about it. That's right, it's my daughter, Kaylee.
What's up? What's up?
We're all here, so gather around, darlings, pull up a comfy chair and pour your favorite poison because this is going to get uncomfy.
Oh my God.
But before we dive into all the meat and potatoes of tonight's podcast, I'd like to remind you to go on over to patreon.com/thepoisonteaparty and become a member of our Patreon. You'll get some pretty cool perks. You might get some cool merch depending on the tier you choose. But everyone will gain access to the very best show on earth. That's right, extra fucking poison. Another thing is that I want to remind you all to rate and review us on whatever platform it is that you listen to us on. If it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it is, please rate and review. That's how we get access to more sponsors and things like that. So,
by Dollar Tree. Here you go with the
she
fucking
wants Dollar Tree.
the
to sponsor
Dollar
us, like, in
Tree
the worst way.
so bad. I want Trey Stone and Matt Parker.
Oh my God!
that's what
Yeah.
Yeah, I want them to sponsor
Me
us.
too. Me fucking
Come
too.
sit. Come to the tea party.
Please.
We could have the best time ever.
This is an official invite.
Officially invited.
But it's never going to happen if you guys don't go and rate us and
review
yeah,
us.
You know, tell your friends.
Tell your friends and
Come
tell your
on.
mom.
Well, if your mom's like my mom,
if your
tell
mom's
your mom.
cool, tell your mom.
Yeah.
Well,
If she's not that cool, don't tell her.
If she's a fucking Karen, then we don't want to
we
party.
don't want to
fucking
be a
Karens.
friend.
No.
We don't want to be your fucking friend.
Mm-mm.
All right, bitches. You ready? Let's get into it.
Yeah.
There are places in this world where pure evil festers and multiplies beneath the surface.
My house.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I have two preteen daughters.
I
so.
agree. At this moment in time, yes, you're not wrong. It feeds on the unsuspecting and hides in plain sight right in front of all of us. We've all heard the stories of seemingly haunted abandoned mansions and mental hospitals, but what if the very place you felt safe enough to lay your head became the last place you ever would?
What the fuck does that mean?
It means something scary is about to go down. These sinister areas exist, and tonight we are going to explore one so vile, it's going to be hard to wrap our heads around the sheer madness of it. Top off your teacups and turn your lights down low. Tonight we're traveling into the 7th dimension of hell while we attempt to unravel the mysteries of the Cecil Hotel.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lay it on me, brother.
In 1919, downtown Los Angeles, California.
California knows how to party.
Choked on my
Fucking
pickle.
California. Jesus Christ.
I almost inhaled that bite of pickle.
In the city.
That would have been bad.
You guys, this was instant that you did that, so I don't know.
Yep.
I'm disturbed. In 1919, downtown Los Angeles, California is booming. An explosion of growing businesses and enterprise.
And parties.
And parties.
And cocaine.
Not yet.
Oh, wait. What year is
Not
this?
yet. 1919.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, maybe, but...
They
It
definitely,
was in the Coke.
They definitely had a tonic, a cocaine tonic. They weren't snorting blow off anybody's butt cheeks or anything, but...
Not yet.
They weren't snorting blow off anybody.
For all we know.
They
I mean,
weren't
it
doing
wasn't-
body shots yet.
It wasn't
Not yet.
documented.
Not yet, but they were definitely doing cocaine about
They
it.
probably had cocaine.
It was like in
going
their
on.
fucking toothpaste and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
true.
in the pop Coca-Cola.
They didn't know how to have fun with it yet. They were doing it on accident right now.
They're like, this is like
Except
the
for when they were
Paco.
drinking Coca-Cola, they were like, "Let's get lit."
And they did.
They did.
But it's not documented.
An explosion of growing business and enterprise and all the promise of the glitz and glamour Hollywood had to offer. It's quickly being established at the time as a place you go if you want to make it big. Movie stars and celebrities live in Hollywood, and it was legendary. Which
Fucking Hollywood. We've talked about this.
We
shit
all
before.
know that. Like,
We've talked about
My
the
favorite
industry.
shit is like Hollywood fucking true crime.
I
It's
know,
just
me
so
too.
fucking-
Hollywood.
It's like crazy.
Behind the blow.
The Cecil Hotel opens its doors in 1924 as a destination for business travelers and tourists. The cost was over $1 million, which was a boatload of money at the time,
Holy fucking shit.
but it was absolutely breathtaking.
Well, yeah, but fuck, that's a lot of money for the time.
Yeah,
Like,
$1
that's
million
like-
in
that's like-
1924.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Like a loaf of bread is like 30 cents.
if that, probably.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but just
They
oh
weren't
my
buying
God.
loaves of bread. They
No.
were making that shit.
They were making a building.
Mm-hmm.
So the hotel was constructed in the Art Deco style. The lobby was equipped with gigantic marble pillars, marble floors, enormous diamond chandeliers, mirrored walls, and a grand staircase. Think Great Gatsby, and you can pretty much envision this place. Although technically not considered a luxury hotel per se, the sheer size of the Cecil, constructed with 700 rooms, hailed it as a modern marvel.
Ain't you ever seen American Horror Story?
American Horror Story Hotel, the very first episode when they walk in and it's just the lobby of the place, that it almost mirrors
Like-
exactly what the Cecil lobby looks
Yeah,
like.
because they like kind of do like a blip back in time or whatever
Yeah.
sometimes. Isn't that what it's called in American Horror Story? Isn't it called the Cecil?
No, but they do reference.
Yeah.
the
okay, I was
Cecil
going to say, I
Hotel.
thought that they
Yeah.
say it.
Located just down the block from the Pacific Electric Light Rail Station, the Cecil was built directly in the path of over 100,000 travelers who were on their way into the city each day. Business was booming, like we said before, and life was good until it wasn't. In 1929, the crash of the United States stock market marked the beginning of the Great Depression and had a particularly crushing effect on downtown Los Angeles. The city was seeing less and less tourism and business interest, and as a result, the Cecil Hotel became less of a business traveler's hotel and more of an inexpensive permanent living hotel for many youth to middle-aged men who were struggling at the time to find work. Over the years, the hotel experienced a great decline and fell into disrepair. The Cecil would never again be restored to the grandeur that it once was, and it was at this point that something dark began to seep into the bones of the hotel.
Ew, wow.
By the early 1970s, the city of Los Angeles had an epidemic on their hands. Homelessness was quickly increasing inside city limits, especially within the specific 56-block radius referred to as Skid Row.
It's
you
56
don't
fucking
know-
blocks.
Now you
56
know.
city blocks.
I didn't know that it
Yeah.
was that big.
It's huge, actually.
Oh my god. I thought when I think Skid Row, I think
No, it's big.
like one
Like one street.
Mhm.
No.
It's like consuming California.
Yeah,
it's a
it's
huge
like-
issue,
and
but
it's growing, yeah.
Oh my
people don't
God.
talk about it like it is. People act like it's just like this really small area.
No,
It's like a road.
It's like basically the whole heart of the city.
If you watch any
fucking
documentary,
insane.
yeah, they make it sound like it's like a little road in
No.
California, and it's fucking not.
No, 56 city blocks.
And it is so
I'm
sad.
gonna choke on my cheese, bitch. That's fucking crazy.
And just for context, the Cecil Hotel is located just on the edge of this neighborhood. So now I say neighborhood, so you may have formed some kind of rosy picture of the place, but make no mistake, this is one of the most impoverished areas in the entire United States. Already at this point in the early 70s, Skid Row is known for being one of the roughest and toughest places in America, and it's home to approximately 8,000 homeless people. This is in the 70s.
in
In
the
the
70s.
Yeah.
Now they're out there smoking bath salts and eating each other's faces off.
They eat each other's fucking faces
For
off.
real.
They aren't rich enough.
Prostitution.
They aren't rich enough for blow.
It's-
They ain't doing blow.
No.
They're making shit up like on the
Yeah,
spot.
they're gonna be like,
They're gonna melt a gummy bear and make some fucking 50% alcohol with that shit and see what happens.
Shoot it between my toes, man.
Like, it's insane.
So, what can the city do to help control this unhoused population? They implement a plan in the 70s. Remember, we're in the 1970s. They implement a plan of containment, is what it was called, in the Skid Row area. They relocate homeless from around the city to this concentrated space and block them from leaving, essentially creating the world's largest and most dangerous transient encampment. So they remove people who are in Venice Beach and fucking like all over the city, and they bring them to Skid Row, specifically.
so that they can all have them just convene in one area.
Yeah, basically.
Ridiculous.
Because this is the city's way of quietly cleaning up the city. Okay.
Well, they're not really cleaning it up,
Yeah.
but Yeah, no. Yeah.
Putting them all in a space where tourists won't see them, where regular people living their lives every day won't have to see them.
Right.
They're hiding them, essentially,
Yeah.
is what they're doing. In plain sight, really.
Well, yeah.
Within these limits of Skid Row, it's referred to as the Wild West, where everyday American laws do not apply. People are allowed to sleep on the streets, buy drugs, and engage in prostitution, all without the interference of law enforcement. So when you say that EMS is on site, the truth is that if they can get in there. So they're afraid to go in there.
You're right.
This place is terrifying.
No, it's awful.
Yeah.
I just remember that, like, when I would watch documentaries about it, the most, like, I don't know, like, authority-ish thing I would ever see actually, like, interfering with anything were EMS. Like, I never saw really, like, things of cops and shit going down in there, or like any like raids or
Because
anything like
there
that.
are people calling for police.
Yeah, there
but
are.
The police don't come.
They don't go.
A, because there are so many calls, the police can't answer them all.
Yeah.
And B, the police are afraid to go in there.
And that's what this one documentary, it was like on Hulu or something at one point, but it was talking, it was interviewing an EMS person, and she was basically talking about how their phone is ringing all day
constant.
for Skid Row.
Yeah.
And they can't do anything
They
about it.
can't fill all the calls. They don't have the people. They don't have the manpower. They don't have the money. They don't have the will to go in there and put themselves at risk
then, like,
that way.
It cut to a scene with her, like the day before or something that was shot, and they're getting a call and they're like filming the whole thing. They go and they're like helping this guy on the sidewalk, and then while they're doing that, there's like people coming up and they're like trying to take shit from them. They're trying to fight. They're trying to get in the ambulance.
Yeah.
Well, so
like,
you know,
it's
like
insanity.
Yeah.
You know that, like, so if you're like ever in like a weird hostage situation, the EMS are not allowed to come in and help you until it's been cleared by the police. It's a whole thing. Like, the scene has to be safe before EMS is permitted by law to even
they're not
enter.
cops.
No,
Right.
and they don't
So
carry
the police,
weapons.
The police have to actually like secure
the
the
scene.
area before EMS is allowed to enter. And you see that on like different like cop shows and stuff that you watch.
Night Watch.
If you've ever wondered why they do that, it's because EMS is not allowed on site. So that would make sense though that they're not like going into Skid Row is because it's not safe. The scene is not safe.
It is not safe.
It's not been cleared. There probably hasn't been a cop around in like a year.
Yeah, no
Like-
shit. So people live on the streets and by the streets in this area of Los Angeles. It's a community of lawlessness and great suffering. By the time the early 1980s come around,
We're not even in the 80s yet.
yeah, that was the 70s. This is the reputation of Skid Row, but now you have to add the crack epidemic. Crime and violence soar to new heights, never before seen in this country, especially in this concentrated area. There are no rules, there are no laws. People are homeless, hungry, and mentally unstable, and now they're all on drugs, like hard drugs. And they are finding themselves a home for the next night or two at the Cecil Hotel. Every night, just outside the hotel, police found themselves face to face with something new. These are real cases. A person running naked down the street with a machete. That was a call that they had.
My husband.
A guy biting the head off of a fucking pigeon.
Ew.
That was another call. That these are real calls. A man lighting himself on fire. I've also seen that in real life.
Yeah.
Bath salt. Yes, you have, actually.
Yeah.
I said bath salts and then I was like, ding. Yes, you have.
Yes, I have. There's no shortage of unpredictability. People have been murdered just simply walking down the fucking street in this area. I'm just trying to like really get through to you guys like how this is
Like,
the
think
most
of the
fucked up
cutest
area.
little old granny just going to get some goddamn
she's
donuts.
about to step
dead.
you guys.
Some guy just
or
walked
she's
right
dead.
up to her and punched her in the
She's
face.
gonna
And then there was
stab you.
blood.
A
Oh my God.
1-2
Or
step.
whatever.
Boom.
I didn't think that Skid Row was that old.
Yeah.
I thought that this
that's
was like
what
a
I mean.
1990s problem.
No,
This is.
I mean, it increased in the late 80s, early 90s because of crack.
Mm-hmm.
But the 70s is when all that shit began.
See, and I didn't know that. I thought that it was a straight up 1990s.
Yeah, no, this has
issue.
been like decades and decades and decades
That's
of
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
just insanity over there.
I wasn't even born yet.
I know.
Nope.
Because it didn't require a background check to rent a room, the Cecil Hotel was an active spot for those who were fresh out of prison, sex offenders, or anyone who didn't want to be found. That, coupled with the fact that it was located in the sketchy neighborhood of Skid Row, made it a breeding ground for pure fucking evil.
Yeah, Lady Gaga.
Yeah. The Cecil was no stranger to tragedy. Dating clear back to its infancy, the hotel was plagued with mysterious deaths, suicides, murders, and unsolved crimes.
Ooh.
We're going to dive into some of those crimes right now. Let me just read, and then you tell me when you've had enough.
Okay.
Because I literally have things for days on this
I don't even know
place.
why. I just feel anxious about this.
You should, because this is total insanity. It all began with the very first recorded death at the hotel in 1927 when a 57-year-old man named Percy Cook decided to take his own life. Cook committed suicide by a gunshot to the head, but not before sending a letter to the press stating that he had done so because of a recent separation from his wife. He disclosed that he had been thinking about it for quite some time. In 1931, W.K. Norton was found dead in his room, a victim of a suspected suicide, apparently having ingested poison. In 1932, another suicide, Benjamin Dodich, was found in his hotel room by the maid with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. He did not leave a note. In 1934, Sergeant Louis Borden took his own life by slitting his own throat with a fucking straight razor.
Was he related to
He
Lizzie
didn't do
Borden?
it. He didn't
I
do
don't
it.
know.
Do you know how hard it is for you to actually do that?
In 1937, Grace Margot fell from a ninth-story window. Her fall was broken by a bunch of telephone wires that wrapped around her body, cutting her in places. It's unknown if she just fell, jumped, or was pushed.
Okay.
Ew. Oh.
Skip ahead to 1944. A woman by the name of Dorothy Jean Purcell was sharing a room at the Cecil with her boyfriend. Unaware that she was pregnant, she went into labor. She later testified that she did not want to awaken her boyfriend, so she went to the bathroom where she gave birth, and thinking that the baby was dead, she threw him out the window,
What
ladies.
a fucking psychopath.
What the fuck?
And
Listen.
he landed on the rooftop of an adjacent building.
I don't give a fuck if
Okay.
you think your baby's dead and you don't know that you're fucking pregnant. That is not the proper way to
No.
fucking handle shit.
No
I feel
shit.
so like
I
ew
would
right
be
now.
absolutely fucking devastated if I didn't know I was pregnant and I gave birth and it was fucking dead.
Yeah, you don't.
I would-
Oh, I know. I'll throw it out the window. How
No.
does that come into play? That's
I would
what I want to know.
totally tailspin into a fucking deep depression
Yeah.
and be like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's
No.
what I would do.
I'm not going to fucking throw it out the
No.
window like it's a fucking empty pack of
I
cigarettes.
wonder if she's scared of the boyfriend, though, because she doesn't want to even wake him up. So
Cool.
she's probably afraid. But anyway, nonetheless, she threw him out the building, and he landed on an adjacent rooftop.
Okay.
Purcell was charged with murder. 3 psychiatrists testified that she was mentally confused at the time of the incident, and in January
God.
1945, she was found guilty by
Good.
reason of insanity.
Good.
Mhm.
Oh, well.
But don't worry, because wait, ladies, there's more.
Of course there
Moving ahead to 1962, Pauline Auden had an argument with her husband in their hotel room. Shortly after he stormed out, Pauline threw herself from the window and landed directly on top of 65-year-old George Shiani, and they both died instantly.
Oh my fucking God.
This is all in the Cecil Hotel. 1964, a woman known as Pigeon Goldie, because she loved to feed the fucking pigeons, apparently, was found raped, stabbed, beaten to death in her hotel room in the middle of the day, and the case was never solved.
What
In
the fuck?
1992, an unidentified black man was found in the alley behind the Cecil Hotel. It was later determined that he had fallen from the hotel's 15th floor.
He didn't fall.
He was never identified even, and his death was never determined to be accidental or otherwise. So if you didn't get the hint, I skipped over a ton of deaths and cases here, but I wanted you to understand the scope of what we're talking about with this place. These are just a few deaths that took place in and around the Cecil, going all the way back to the very beginning, but there are a shit ton more. Like, if you do your research, you're going to
That's
find way more than
ridiculous.
this.
That's ridiculous.
Even on Wikipedia, there was like twice as many as this. I just picked out the ones that I was like, oh, we should say that.
What the
You
hell?
know? Like, it's insane. Every year, hundreds of emergency 911 calls were made from the Cecil, ranging from drug overdoses to robberies, to rapes, to suicides, to murder. It's common knowledge in the area that if you want to survive your stay at the Cecil Hotel, you should not stay any higher than the 6th floor. In 1985, Richard Ramirez, most famously known as the Night Stalker, terrorized the city of LA. He preyed on men, women, and children, carrying out a rape and killing spree that was so heinous, it was among the worst crimes the nation had ever seen.
Fucking loser.
And just before dawn, when he finished with his gruesome acts for the night, Ramirez would stand in the alley behind the Cecil Hotel, strip down out of his bloody clothes to his underwear and socks, and make his way up the flights of stairs to his room, where he would rest his head until the next night, when he would emerge from the hotel to kill again. No one, listen, would bat an eye when Ramirez would walk to his room in his underwear, streaked with blood, because that is the kind of place the Cecil Hotel was. Absolutely vile and full of evil. Like, no one was like, that's weird. We should say something.
No, let
Everyone
it ride.
was like, oh, it's Ramirez. He's at it again.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, like,
It's
what
fine.
the fuck?
Could you imagine sleeping somewhere like that? Living somewhere like that?
I wouldn't.
No, me neither. Ever.
If I walked out and a motherfucker walked past me with bloodstained underwear on, I would be like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, wait a minute, bro.
I would back
Why
up
don't you
and
take a
shut
ride
my
down
door.
to the station with me?
And I would be like, everyone pack your shit now. We're leaving.
I mean, I feel like
now.
I would take a lot more shit than you would, because you would be like, this shit's creepy, I'm out. And I'd be like, it's fine.
yeah, but not this.
But not somebody walking down the fucking...
Yeah,
in
no.
their underwear, just
No.
like their
No.
bodies like streaked in blood.
No,
And
it's not made
No,
right.
that
It's not
ain't
made
right.
His mama dropped him on his head.
for real.
I ain't gonna stick around and find out. The fuck? I'm getting the hell out, and you are too, bitch.
So
Pack
the
your shit.
Cecil Hotel is the kind of place where serial killers feel right at home. And this sort of shady operation of the Cecil Hotel continued into the 2000s. But in the mid-2000s, downtown LA was experiencing gentrification, which means historically old, rundown neighborhoods that were not desired by buyers or investors start to actually attract wealthier residents. And that leads to reinvestment in the area, and that's still occurring today. Downtown LA was beginning to experience a boom in interest from investors as more travelers were drawn to the area. There was hope that it would become a new hotspot in the city for tourism and business. In 2007, the Cecil Hotel was sold to a new owner for $26 million.
Who the fuck owned it at that point?
This place is on Skid Row. It's run down.
Okay.
Right, and who
It's-
owned it at that point to make that fucking much money off of that shit? Because
Don't know. The new owners had big ideas to turn this crumbling hotel into the new hip spot for young travelers. To do this, they would have to evict some 80 tenants who had lived in the hotel, some for as long as 30 to 40 years by that
That's
time.
crazy.
oh hell,
It's like they've lived there,
That's
like lived there.
disgusting.
But when management began handing out eviction notices, they got pushback from the city of LA, who informed them that the Cecil Hotel was technically a, quote, low-income residential hotel, end quote.
says who? Says you? Fuck you, city.
And
I
they
bought
were-
this shit. That's
well,
mine.
The city says that's kind of what happens in the city, you know? If
The whole damn
Nope.
city's a low fucking budget city. The fuck?
And they were not within their rights to evict the individuals who lived there. In order to create an opportunity for the hotel to make a profit, the developers came up with an idea to essentially operate, this was kind of brilliant, 2 hotels out of 1 building. Okay?
Okay.
One side would remain as the Cecil Hotel, and the other side would get a facelift to a more updated version and appeal to the young travelers. They called it Stay on Main. So if you were to look these 2 hotels up on a travel website, you would get the impression that these 2 places were completely different hotels with 2 completely different vibes. You look up Stay on Main and you're getting like trendy,
Oh my
young,
God.
vibrant. You know, you're getting that. If you look up the Cecil, you're getting the old Cecil.
You're getting crack as whack.
Yeah, you're
You're
getting
getting no
crack as whack.
TV in your goddamn room. And probably some cigarette stains on
I
the
mean,
bed sheet.
that's what you're getting. So the breakdown.
Oh, no, don't do it.
The breakdown of the hotel goes like this. Okay, this is what the building consists of, if you can like envision this. The building is 15 stories tall without a 13th floor, for obvious reasons. That's the
No,
unlucky floor.
yeah, they'd never do.
Yeah.
They never have a 13th floor.
So 15 stories tall. Floors 2 and 3 are for hotel tenants. Those are the Cecil Hotel tenants that have lived there for 30 plus years. They've been there forever.
They're safe.
So they're not safe. They're not good people, but they have lived there forever.
Yep, they're just engraved in it.
Floors 4, 5, and 6 are designated for the stay on Main, and the remaining 8 top floors are the Cecil Hotel. And both hotels had their own entrance and their own lobbies with their own staff. Everything seemed separate.
Right.
How
Okay.
are you gonna put a whole other hotel on a different floor in a hotel in the middle of a hotel?
They're trying to make money. So
Mm-hmm.
they can't evict people. So they created this other hotel persona, right?
Right. And tourists they don't fucking know.
They
They're
don't know
just,
because when you look it up on Expedia or whatever the fuck, then it's completely different. Basically, the rooms look different. They got
a lobby.
and as long as you
It's
stay
got-
on your floor,
you're fine.
it's fine.
There's new paint, there's new linens. It looks different. It feels different. You know, everything's updated a little bit. Whereas the Cecil Hotel is still the rundown, dilapidated.
Even though outside.
Yeah.
You might be
but
finding a couple
you have
of-
your own entrance. So, but the 2 hotels were completely separate, with one exception: the elevators. The owners did not have the money to add a new elevator exclusively for Stay on Main. So the 2 elevators that were on the premises provided access to the entire building. Therefore, guests from each hotel would occasionally meet in the elevators. And this means unsavory individuals staying at the Cecil Hotel occasionally interacted with unsuspecting guests of Stay on Main. And that brings us to the Cecil Hotel's most infamous case to date, which is the real reason why we're here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
This is the case of Elisa Lamb.
Okay.
Do you know it?
Yep.
Vaguely, yes. I don't know all
This
the deets.
case is just so fucking. Oh my god.
In 2013, Elisa Lamb was a young 21-year-old Canadian blogger who was trying desperately to find her place in the world. She blogged often about feelings of being lost, not feeling good enough, and feeling like she was wasting time or wasn't quite in a place in her life that she thought she should be. Her blogs were filled with struggles and admissions of depression. She openly discussed her own battles within herself with her bipolar and depressive disorders, but at the same time, she talked openly of acceptance and love. Elisa had a way with words, and she was clearly a gifted writer, and you can actually still read her blog today. In January of 2013, Elisa was feeling optimistic. She was about to take a trip of her own to California, a place she thought could open her eyes to the world. Elisa believed if she could take this trip alone, that's right, ladies, she's going alone.
No, you don't go anywhere alone ever.
No.
I don't care who you are.
It might mean that she was just as quote-unquote normal as everyone else, and it would hopefully give her the confidence to get her life on track. Which I don't know how off track her life was. I'm going to say it wasn't that off track. She was like in college. She was 21. I mean, a lot of 21-year-olds ain't in college. I think you're on the right track.
Well, they ain't traveling alone.
Also, Elisa, she's of Asian descent. And I know that sometimes in Asian families, there can be a lot of pressure, especially on girls, to overperform. And I don't know if that was happening here, or at the very least, she obviously felt the pressure from somewhere. So
Somewhere, yeah.
yeah, maybe not her family, but just like the pressure that she wasn't where her peers were is kind of what was happening. And that could have been because of her illness. Like I said, she had bipolar and depressive disorders. So Elisa made the trek alone from Vancouver, Canada to California, arriving in Los Angeles on January 26, 2013. So 2 days after arriving, she checked into the Cecil Hotel. More specifically, Stay on Main is the hotel that she checked into. Same building. And just a few days later, on January 31st, the day she was scheduled to check out of the hotel and leave for Santa Cruz, her parents didn't hear from her. So they immediately contacted Los Angeles Police Department. LAPD searched the hotel looking for clues as to where she could have gone. When they arrived at the hotel, they asked to see the room where she had been staying. When they were taken to the room, it was empty. The staff had thought that she'd fled the hotel without taking any of her belongings, which they assured the police was an extremely rare occurrence. I'm sure in a hotel that happens quite often. But staff did, in accordance with hotel policy, bag up Elisa's belongings that had been left behind and put them in a storage room in case she would return for the things at a later date.
Right.
Police searched through her things. They searched the Cecil Hotel to the extent that they legally could. They couldn't search every room without probable cause, which they just didn't have at that point. They searched hallways, closets, surrounding alleys, and even the rooftop, and there was no sign of Elisa Lam anywhere. To their credit for being extremely thorough, they even brought in canine units to try to pick up on Elisa's scent. And a canine dog did trace her smell to the window in the hallway on the same floor as her room. It was the 6th floor that she was staying on, so the canine unit did trace her scent to the window on the same floor, which was at the end of a hallway where the door to her room was. Police were frustrated that they had hit a dead end. About a week after her disappearance, LAPD posted flyers in the neighborhood and online, and this brought the case to the public's attention and created a media storm around the mystery. The pictures posted of Elisa led to no further leads, and about a week later, so we're talking 2 weeks after her disappearance, a video was released to the public of Elisa. And this is what was thought to be the last known footage of her, the last pictures of her. And this is known as the famous elevator video. Have you guys seen it?
I don't know for sure.
So I'm going to show my sister, well, I'm going to show both of them, this video right now. It is 2.5-minute video. I would highly recommend everybody that's listening to this to go on to YouTube and find it. It's there's a million different links to it, but it's very interesting. So this is the surveillance video of Elisa Lam. It's about 2.5 minutes. I want you to, we're going to watch it in silence, and I want you to just really take in what's happening, and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
Okay. So the mysterious video, lasting a mere 2.5 minutes, shows Elisa Lam acting in a very unsettling way. It shows her walking in and out of the elevator, making weird hand movements and gestures, pressing all of the elevator buttons at one point. She appears to be hiding from someone when she backs into the corner. She peers into the hallway, looking in both directions, and even steps out into the hallway at one point, almost entirely out of view. But then, when the doors fail to close, she steps back into the elevator. After some time, she exits the elevator again to the right, and this time, she doesn't return. And then that's when those final seconds go on. It did go on for 15, 30 seconds, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then the elevator door closes eventually. But in the video that was released to the public, the door appears to jump, I would say probably a third of the way.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's just closing. So some people that have analyzed that have said that the timestamp also changes. But like you saw the timestamp, it's incredibly hard to read.
Yeah.
It's so grainy. And I don't know if that's a result of just because it's 2013 and their surveillance cameras suck or other reasons.
The video, though, itself was pretty decent. There's no reason for the timestamp to be as smudged as it was.
That's what I would think too.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen this video, I suggest you go and watch it now. I'll link it on our Facebook page. It's it's really disturbing to watch.
I just feel so creepy. I feel super uncomfy right now.
Yeah, it gives you the cheebies a little bit.
It's so eerie.
With the release of this video, this whole case just fucking explodes. The Cecil Hotel.
Because it's what the fuck?
This is you're in the era of web sleuthing. So when this video finally fucking comes out, the Cecil Hotel is bombarded with people that are like, hey, I'm here to see the room that Elisa Lam stayed in, and shit like that.
Right.
And the press, just everybody literally camps out. Not only are a bunch of homeless people camping out around this fucking hotel, but now the press is camping out. Ew. Imagine having to be that guy that was like, oh, it's my job to sleep here tonight.
No, thank you.
Hell no.
I ain't getting stabbed.
No, thanks. Oh my God. There's about 1 million different theories that surface as to what really was going on here with Elisa. She must be under the influence of some party drug, and she's definitely in the right neighborhood for that, after all. To someone's chasing her or to a psychotic break. But as this video was being so closely analyzed by the entire world at this point, some viewers with some keen eyesight discover something fishy pretty quickly about the footage. Although grainy, people began to argue that the timestamp on the video had been tampered with. And on top of that, almost an entire minute of footage had been erased. That's what they were claiming, that the timestamp difference. You see this with Elisa Lam when she leaves the elevator for the final time and the elevator door shuts at the end. If you watch closely, it actually jumps ahead, so the door is already out a third of the way shut when it finally comes into view again. Some web sleuthers believe that this is evidence the footage was altered to possibly protect the identity of whoever was really with Elisa.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't see anybody. I mean, was that because there was no one there, or was that by design? Somebody's like, hey, I'm going to cut my friend out of this, or I'm going to cut myself out of this.
It's hard to say.
I don't know. Was it the hotel that altered the footage? Because it's clearly altered. I mean, does anybody argue that?
Yeah, it's altered in some way, whether that be paranormal or like
when I saw it,
somebody
I was like,
did it.
like I watched the whole video and I'm like, I'm really into it, right? I'm like, okay. And then when I saw that, I thought like everybody in the world seen it the first time they watched. It was like, you know, shock. I was like, I saw that something fucked up happened there.
It glitched.
Yeah, something's weird about this.
Something's fishy.
Something's off. Could it have been the police that altered the video?
Could have been anybody, really.
Or was it just a shitty camera system? Which I'm not saying that is not also a possibility.
Right, but why
yeah,
would
but this
it play
isn't the
that
1990s.
You would be surprised of how many murder cases I listen to where everyone says there was video footage of it, but we couldn't really see the license plate.
Well, yeah, they always say
there's
that.
video footage, but we couldn't really see.
Because surveillance
to this
cameras
day, it happens.
serve no purpose.
We have surveillance cameras, but they weren't on at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Or they weren't working at
That's
the time.
that's
like-
the number one thing, because a lot of people just get the security cameras because if they're placed
and
then
someone sees it, they're like,
they're less
deterred?
likely to
Yeah.
commit a fucking crime. But
They don't ever actually turn them on.
I'm gonna say, I feel confident saying about 85% of the time that fucking shit is not, or they're on a loop, right? So after 24 hours it just re-records over the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. So you couldn't go back and like
Yeah.
retrieve the footage
No.
for any helpful reason.
Right.
So I don't really understand that. No one had any answers, and Elisa was still missing. So while this whole search for Elisa was going on, hotel guests began to complain of poor water pressure in their rooms. Some claimed the water was discolored or even black and had an unusual taste and odor. The Cecil...
Do you know?
I didn't
have-
realize that this was that case,
Yeah.
but yes.
I have like fucking a weird fear of this shit. When
You
I'm
have like PTSD, but it's
Mhm.
never happened to you?
Yeah.
The Cecil Hotel management directed a maintenance man to look into the problem, and after checking all other avenues and still not being able to find what the cause of the water pressure problem was, he made his way to the rooftop to check the water tanks. On the morning of February 19th, Santiago Lopez climbed to the top of the water tanks on the roof of the Cecil Hotel and made a gruesome discovery. There, in one of the 4 tanks that provided water to the guests' rooms, kitchen, and coffee shop in the hotel, was Elisa Lamb's nude, decomposing body floating face up.
I just have like really bad vibes right now.
The poor baby. The contaminated water had been servicing the entire hotel for weeks at this point. The tank was drained.
Ridiculous.
Nobody noticed. They
Ew.
did, but like I wonder when, I don't
No.
know. There's always like one
They're
Karen
hiding
that starts
something.
complaining right away though.
Right.
So the
But-
hotel had to like
but
have some kind of
they
idea.
80% of these people were fucking skid row.
Yeah, they're all
fucking
methed
whatever.
out.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck. It's
Yeah.
only those like couple of floors that were the other hotel.
The tank was drained and cut open from the side in order for police to retrieve Lamb's body without disturbing any evidence. Also found in the tank were the clothes that appeared to be the same clothes she was wearing in that elevator video. Red hoodie, black pants. Like I said, when she was found, she was nude. That's kind of weird. Does that give you like, okay, foul play vibes? Or does that
That gives me drugs vibes.
drugs?
Yeah.
I'm thinking foul play or
That's where I'm like, why is a girl naked? Somebody tried to fucking
Because
rape
she
her.
was probably like, oh my God, I'm going to get naked and go into this fucking water. That's where my brain goes. Not saying
Like,
that,
I'm gonna go swimming in the water tank, and that's
Yeah.
actually a popular theory too, as to maybe what she was thinking.
I'm thinking foul play or the fucking ghost of the Cecil whole fucking tale where like here's this magical land.
well, I mean, that's where, you know, because I
It's like
believe that it was like
hallucinations.
drugs
Scary.
or whatever, but also, I mean, have you seen American Horror Story?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was definitely some ghostesses in her ears being like, hey, if you come in here, you're going to have a good time. You got to fucking do this and do that and whatever.
The way she was
But
acting.
if you watch the video, like the way her dramatic hand and arm movements,
It's weird.
and it's
It's like-
yes, but
don't
okay,
know.
I'm from a place where Methany is messing around every 5 fucking minutes.
And I see that shit daily.
And they make those exaggerated
you're not wrong.
movements
That's
with their hands. And,
yeah.
you know, they do weird shit like, oh, I'm going to hunt around this corner. But there's nobody there. There's nobody there. Like, I mean, obviously we couldn't see down the hallway. We could only see from inside the elevator. But that was a long video for nobody to pop around the fucking corner.
Yeah.
You know, or to come into view at all, in my personal opinion.
I don't know, unless there's like, people are fucking weird. Some people just be out there like fucking hunting. Like
You're not wrong there either. That's
they're
true.
like,
and like we said, Richard Ramirez lived in this fucking
Yeah.
hotel,
Right.
so it's completely like plausible. This is the area. This is the, and she's from Vancouver, Canada.
yeah.
She's alone.
She's
Right.
a
She has no
little
friends, no
Asian
boyfriend with her.
girl
I don't know.
in a hallway on Skid Row.
Yeah,
Come on,
that's fucking
I'm just
wild
gonna
when you
say
think
it.
about it that way.
put it in. It's not anything whatever. It's just like, okay, you stand out right now.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the world we live in.
Many questions swirled as this case became something of a media circus. People became obsessed with trying to solve the mystery of what really happened to Elisa Lam. So here are some things to help us make our decision, ladies, okay? I've prepared a little list, and I'm going to just read it off, and then you determine if it's a thing for you or not. Okay, so we're going to go over Elisa's state of mind. It was proven by the toxicology report that Elisa was undermedicated at the time of her death, which might go hand in hand with some of her known actions leading up to the final day. Now, here are some things that you maybe don't know about this case. Upon checking into the hotel, Elisa rented a room that included 2 roommates, essentially. So these were like, it was kind of set up like a hostel.
Okay.
They complained that she was displaying really odd behavior, writing messages on Post-it notes and leaving it on their beds. These notes said things like, go home and go away. And Elisa would lock the door on the girls and demand that they tell her a password before they could gain entry to the room.
Okay, that's on point with like some bipolar disorder.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
no, I totally agree. Yeah, that's 100%.
What? She's just playing a little prank.
Also, I did see that, but that gives me like classic Mean Girl vibes because I have seen like little Mean Girls do weird things like that once in a while in my life, and I'm like, okay, but I don't get Mean Girl vibes from her blog
No.
because I've read some of it. She's depressed, but also sort of positive. I can't explain it, but the roommates complained, and at this point, in order to avoid any further confrontation between Elisa or the girls or whatever, the hotel removed Elisa and moved her to her own private room for the remainder of her stay. So she didn't have to share with anybody else and write nasty notes.
Right.
Was she really writing them?
I think she was. Okay, well here's more evidence, okay? The hotel manager claimed that Elisa had been in the lobby days prior to her disappearance, and she was screaming something to the effect of, quote, "The Cecil Hotel is crazy and so am I," unquote. So
Yep.
if
bitches
you've
be
ever been
bonkers.
around with young people in public, they get loud and they're stupid and they just scream shit like this in a like immature.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm funny.
Yeah.
Look at the stupid shit I can say. And it's always something weird. And they like scream it and they're like mildly embarrassed, mildly feeling like they just were risque and something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
And whatever.
One,
the end of it.
One, it's either ghost.
Could it be that?
Or 2,
Yeah.
it's either a fucking person is looking at her. She knows that he's hunting her down. She sees him stalking her, the prey, which is her, bitch. And she's like, get attention, get attention. I need attention on me.
You
so
think
I'm
that's
okay.
why she screamed, "The Cecil Hotel is crazy
Bitch,
and so
I
am
have
I."
done some
No.
weird shit in public when I felt weirded out.
No, I've
I don't
never.
think so.
I'd be like, "What the fuck? You got a fucking problem?" I would yell at them, and I have done that loudly, like, and so they get scared and run away.
I'm like that type of bitch that's like, wow, they don't even get the prices right around here.
Okay,
That's
grandma.
me. But like,
That's your grandma.
Oh my god.
I'm like, yeah, back the fuck up. I
Okay,
will
so
go there.
another odd occurrence. Elisa attended a taping of the Conan O'Brien show. Love her.
Yeah.
But she was escorted off the fucking premises after she wrote a note and handed it to a producer of the show demanding that she give it to Conan.
Yeah. That's bipolar.
That's weird.
And that's like some bipolar shit
To me, this is so fucking, what the fuck? This is so alarming. Like,
but these people aren't all in the same area, so there's no way that they could, like, connect this.
This is
not at the time.
2013.
No. Yeah.
This was still a pretty
okay, you know how many
time.
fucking crackhead, fucking junkie ass, fucking drunk ass college fucking students are wandering around LA that they are just literally being like, get the fuck out?
This girl is like this little Asian girl who, she looks very young. She looks very young.
Yes.
Like, she looks not even like she is an adult. Then to have these moments, you don't even need to know the other situations.
Yeah.
To be like, 911?
Something weird is going on.
I think we have
that's
someone
not where
who
I
needs
would
help.
jump, especially if it was, because listen, people do, you're in fucking LA, okay?
Mhm.
There is a huge fucking drug problem. You're off Skid Row when you're at the fucking Cecil or wherever the fuck, whatever.
You're not even off it. You're still on it, actually.
And it's just not
just really bad there.
just because we're hindsight is 2020 doesn't mean, I mean, we've all been there, okay? You're in fucking Walmart and there's a fucking psycho bitch being like, meh.
So many times.
You know, it happens. You're not thinking that in the moment. You're thinking, this bitch is fucking crazy and she's either on crack or she's fucking drunk or, you know, whatever.
And I'll tell you something, because we went on a vacation there and we went to The Price is Right. And those people do not fuck around. This is where my family gained the infamous quote, save your life.
Yep.
Because it
Save
was,
your life.
there was some black woman when I was trying to go on the CBS fucking lot to get into the show. You have to go through security or whatever in your car. And when we were driving through security, there was a homeless guy that was coming. He was literally just walking by the parking lot, and she fucking had a taser in her belt pocket or her belt, and she fucking puts her hand on it, and she walked at him, and she told him to save your life.
You best be saving your life.
And he fucking gave her a wide berth at that point. But me and my cousin were like, that we're gonna say that forever probably now.
Yep.
And you don't even understand. So everybody goes to LA, okay?
Like
everybody.
everybody.
You want to be famous. You want to be this. You want to be that.
And
let me
why
tell
do
you-
And she's
you?
not the only fucking person that had mental fucking issues either at the time in LA. Like, they're everywhere. So, you know, like I said, hindsight is 2020. There's no way that anybody would have thought, you know, that the shit was going to pop off the way that it did. You know, escorting her out of the Conan O'Brien show.
Yeah, they thought they were saving their life.
For
That's
real.
all.
They were
Not
just
that
like,
they were
this
doing
bitch is
some-
crazy and we're doing some fucking TV shit and she needs to leave.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, it's just not, we're not in the Midwest at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Elisa isn't keeping her blog at this time, so we don't have any direct evidence from her in her own words to really know how she was feeling at the time. And it is worth noting that her family had said from time to time Elisa had been known to suffer from hallucinations due to her mental illness. But does this explain how she ended up in the water tanks on the rooftop of a Cecil Hotel?
I mean, listen,
No.
she was clearly misdiagnosed. In my personal fucking opinion, I don't think that she was was she bipolar? Probably. But she was probably also a lot of something else. Like, there is just, and maybe whatever she was taking for her bipolar disorder was a dual med, possibly, that was helping her with something else, such as like schizophrenia.
I wish I would have brought in, because they do have it out in public, like what she takes, but I fucking didn't
And
write it down, of course.
A lot of things have dual purposes. A lot of our medication, they have dual purposes. So it could have been.
One of the things you really have to think about, in my opinion, is how Elisa got on the roof. Okay? There are 2 ways to access the rooftop of the Cecil Hotel. These are the ways. 1, the rooftop door. This door is locked, and the only personnel with keys are the hotel owner, the hotel manager, and the head maintenance workers, of which are maybe 3. Making it even more difficult for anyone to access the rooftop this way. The door is said to set off an alarm at the front desk anytime it's opened without a key. This is meant to act as a safety measure in case the door is accidentally left unlocked. But
So
the
only-
hotel claims that that door is locked at all times.
It's technology. It's going to have an error in some way, shape, or form. one of them motherfuckers let her on the fucking roof.
But the door was tested by the police during the search for Lisa Lamb, and it was found to be in working order.
Yeah, during
so
that
they
time.
tested it at
But
that
the
time.
ghostesses weren't blocking this shit.
And that's,
Yeah, that could be the.
I mean, how much bad shit has happened at this place?
For real. How many people gotta fucking die at this place?
Who wants to know? I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it's
and
crazy.
Richard Ramirez did satanic rituals.
Yeah. The other way to get to the rooftop of the Cecil Hotel is by fire escape. The fire escape is like sort of that classic landing staircase situation that we see on the outside of all city buildings.
Something
like,
that's
ever.
going to be particularly hard to climb when you're drunk
Also, if
or
you're-
on drugs
Mhm.
or having a mental breakdown.
But the very last stretch of the climb of this ascent to the fucking rooftop from the fire escape, it's like such a climb. It's so terrifying. It is a literal metal ladder to the roof. You're 15 stories above
no
Los
railing,
Angeles,
right?
above Skid Row,
Mhm.
and it is just like the little weeniest fucking ladder you've ever seen.
How many times have you been drunk and been like, I'm fine, I can do this?
How many times have I done it?
A lot. And so
People
have I.
do weird things
So
drunk,
have I.
but she's not drunk. There's no toxicology coming
It
back
took
on that.
4 months for that fucking toxicology report.
She was way sober by then.
And I'm fucking telling you that shit was not fucking accurate. It was not accurate.
Oh my
Something
God.
was fucked up because it does not take 4 months for a fucking toxicology report. That's ridiculous.
Amen. When I heard that, I was pissed off about
Yeah.
it. First
Yeah,
of all,
same.
I wasn't waiting for it.
And do you know how
because
many-
it was already out?
that
but-
shit gets fucking split up all the time.
And we have to remember this back to the story when the police brought in those canine units to search the place. They did trace her scent
To the window.
to the window on her floor, and that window did have the fire escape on it. So it's entirely possible Elisa made the horrifying climb. My question is, if she climbed the fire escape, what makes you do that?
Get me a little bit of drunk and I'm gonna climb that fucking tree out there and I'm gonna fucking climb the fucking grain bin and I'm gonna do all sorts of fucking crazy
15
shit.
stories?
Absolutely.
Starting on the 6th, we'll say, right? Because that's where she
Yep.
goes to the window
Yep.
at.
And then throw a little bit of fucking like bipolar fucking schizophrenia
Craziness
in there.
And you're
I'm
like, oh, I'm
sold.
not really this high.
Sold. I'm doing it.
I need to be
Okay,
higher.
I agree, but also I don't, just because of the simple fact that she was alone. Like when I'm alone and drunk, no.
You're not that wild.
Oh,
no.
I am.
When I'm with people,
I'm, I'm more brazen when I'm alone and drunk than I am when I have people around
Not
me.
me either.
I'm
I'm
way
totally
more
that way.
crazy with people than I am.
I'm like, oh, I'm drunk. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, like I'm just chilling.
No.
Like
That's
I'll
what I'm
sit
like.
there and just
I'm
watch
like
TV.
teeheeing at myself, fucking doing dumb shit all the fucking time.
No,
Like
I'm
that's
not
just
at
who I
all.
am. Yep.
It's kind of strange. Anyway, so something else that bothers me incredibly about this case is the actual water tank itself. The water tanks, they stand at 10 feet tall. Okay, envision this, 6 feet wide.
Yep.
So wider than I am tall. They have a wooden ladder propped up against them. It looks like literally someone's dad built it.
Right.
It's from their scrap
Yeah.
wood in their
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shed.
Yeah.
Now I remember this part.
And
of
then
it.
the access to the top where the doors are located. The door is approximately 1.5 foot wide ish.
Mhm.
It's pretty tight, pretty small, but Elisa was a small person. The tanks are sometimes filled with water and sometimes they're pretty empty. The water level is high or low depending on the water use in the hotel at that particular time of day. So it varies all day long, every day. And inside these tanks, it's dark. There's no light inside shining down into the tank. There's no windows. Perhaps most intriguing of all is the door to the water tanks, the actual door that sits over the opening on the top of these water tanks. The doors are not hinged like came to my mind. Like they should be like a little hatch or
Yeah.
something is what I'm envisioning when I first find this case. But that's not what they are at all. They don't swing open or pull open and stay attached like a regular door does.
Mm-hmm.
The doors are actually a separate piece of flat metal. They weigh about 20 pounds a piece, and they are completely detached from the tank itself. So when you go to open the tank, the door is something that needs to be lifted and then put to the side. It's not something that turn the
Yeah.
handle and fucking. That's kind of what I envision when I
Something
thought
that's
this.
simple to open.
You have to like slide it. There's a lip that stands up off the tank about that high. This fucker is like that wide. And then it has to be lifted and put back over. So the reason I bring this up is this. When the maintenance man finds Elisa's body, there is confusion about how he truly finds the tank door. That's important, right? Police say, and they say they made a mistake on this. So they said initially, but now they're like, oh, we didn't. That was a mistake.
We made a mistake.
They did
It's
say
not a
they said it,
mistake.
but they were like, oh, that was a mistake. That the maintenance man said when he found Elisa, the door was closed. But then later on, the same maintenance man says that he found it open and then he found Elisa. That kind of matters because if
you
Elisa
can't close it.
if Elisa jumped into the tank herself, there's truly no way she could have slid the 20-pound door back into place while treading water in a tank and she wasn't able to reach the top of.
Yep.
She was a small lady, and for her to reach up and grab, with nothing to hold on to, that's not happening. If Elisa was put in the tank by someone else, they surely would have
could
replaced
close
the
it.
door.
Yeah.
So whether it was there or not matters. And the fact that the cops are like, oh, he
We
told
don't
us it was
know.
closed. Oh, we made a mistake on that. And then he goes and says, oh, I found it open. Is that a cover up or is that a mistake?
It depends.
It's the most important
It's a cover up.
piece of this
It is
puzzle,
one of
I think.
the most important pieces, yes.
Then there's the issue of the surveillance tape. What is Elisa doing on this tape, and is she truly alone, or is there someone with her out of view of the camera, and then that was later cut by the alteration made to the footage? If the video was altered, who did it? There had been numerous conspiracy theories floated around on this case saying that someone from the hotel may have been involved in Elisa's disappearance and murder, and even suggesting the hotel paid the police to cover it up. Given the reputation of both the Cecil Hotel and the LAPD, I'm not so sure that a cover-up is completely, out of the question.
No, but at that point, why? Because there's been so many deaths in this fucking hotel.
Yeah.
The reason why
Like,
was
why?
because it was going to go viral.
It already did.
Yeah.
It went viral, and they needed to cover their fucking tracks.
I don't understand why they would think that this case was more important to cover up as opposed to, the hundreds of other ones I read you.
The bajillions of other fucking cases.
I think it was
Because
just
it was
the
a
time.
young girl. Well,
Yeah.
she's not the first young girl to die in this place.
No, it just...
But I think it just was the time.
And
the
they were
era.
trying to get Stan Main to be kind of a ritzy thing, and with
well,
her
there's
disappearing.
your first fucking problem.
Yeah,
Like,
on
why
Skid
would you
Row.
ever even fucking think that right on Skid Row?
Oh my god. There's actually so many avenues I didn't even cover on this case, especially when it comes to the conspiracy avenue
Oh yeah.
of this case. There are links to...
You don't believe in conspiracy theories.
I don't. That's why we didn't cover it. But there are links to
There's
Elisa
some good ones.
possibly being an undercover biological weapon carrying tuberculosis or another strand of tuberculosis.
Okay, come on.
And she was sent to inflict the city with her sickness. And there are ties to the address of this bookstore that she visited while she was in LA. And then when you look up the zip code of the bookstore, it pinpoints the exact cemetery that Elisa Lam is buried in. Isn't that weird?
I mean, yeah.
For real, there are some intriguing coincidences involving this case. So if you want to know more, I'd suggest a documentary on Netflix called Crime Scenes: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. It lays it all out pretty well, and it's fucking directed by Ron Howard, so it's actually kind of easy to watch.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant man.
A brilliant man.
For real. Whatever happened to Elisa Lam that day at the Cecil Hotel, or any of the other hundreds of tragic events that have happened on the premises over the years, I'm not sure we'll ever know. But one thing is certain, some places on this earth are magnets for sorrow and suffering, and the Cecil Hotel is probably not the place for your next family vacation.
Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Mm-mm. No, just like Lake Lanier, I ain't going there.
Oh my god, but I kind of want to go there. So that's gonna do it for us tonight here at the Poison Tea Party.
Oh.
Sorry we talked a lot.
Not sorry.
Not sorry.
Sorry Sorry, not sorry. Visit our Patreon page, patreon.com/poison-tea-party, and like and love us on Facebook. Feel free to shoot us a message anytime. We've been talking to some really fun fellows and ladies out there lately, so go ahead and chat us up. We'd love it.
Share us with your friends.
Yeah, share us with your friends.
Make everybody be a member of the tea party.
Yeah. What is it that I say at the end? Oh, you keep it classy out there, son of a bitches, and you keep those pinkies way the fuck up, because you know what? You've been poisoned.
Motherfucker.
Again.
You whore.
Learn a lesson.
Never.